There is a quiet exhaustion in traditional gardening. Every spring, you buy new seeds, prepare fresh containers, and start completely from scratch. But what if you could plant a vegetable just once and watch it faithfully return to feed you year after year? That is the profound advantage of perennial vegetables. While most growers are locked in an endless cycle of replanting, experienced gardeners quietly build crops that grow stronger, larger, and more productive with age. As late summer arrives, a brief golden window opens. August provides the perfect biological balance. The soil remains deeply warm, encouraging rapid root expansion, while the approaching autumn protects young plants from severe heat. By establishing these perennials now, they will sleep through winter and emerge with fresh harvests next spring, long before annual seeds even germinate. Today, we are exploring 7 remarkable perennial vegetables to establish this August for a permanent container garden. Stay until the end, because I will reveal 3 silent mistakes that can easily destroy your long-term harvest. Let's begin. At number 7, sea kale. Most gardeners have never grown it, yet it's one of the most rewarding perennial vegetables you can dedicate a container to. Native to the rocky coastlines of Europe, sea kale has evolved to survive harsh winds, poor soils, and freezing winters, making it far tougher than its elegant appearance suggests. Once established, it faithfully returns every spring with tender young shoots, broad blue-green leaves, fragrant white flowers, and even edible seed pods. Few vegetables offer so many harvests from a single plant. Better still, sea kale thrives across USDA zones 4 through 8, making it an outstanding choice for gardeners living in cooler climates. August is one of the best times to establish sea kale because the soil is still warm enough to encourage vigorous root growth, while cooler autumn temperatures reduce stress on young plants. Instead of wasting energy producing excessive foliage during summer, the plant focuses on building a deep, powerful root system before winter dormancy begins. That underground crown is the secret to its longevity. Once spring arrives, sea kale wakes up quickly, producing fresh, edible growth long before many annual vegetables are even planted. Because it develops a substantial root system, choose a 15 to 20 gallon container that's at least 18 inches deep. Fill it with loose, well-draining soil enriched with compost, and place it where it receives at least 6 hours of direct sunlight every day. Sea kale dislikes constantly wet soil, so excellent drainage is essential. Apply fresh compost every spring, water during extended dry periods, and remove spent flower stalks if your goal is maximum leaf production. As the plant matures, harvest only a portion of the leaves each season, allowing plenty of healthy foliage to remain so it can continue storing energy for future growth. What makes sea kale so valuable isn't just its productivity, it's its consistency. Year after year, one container quietly produces multiple edible harvests with very little attention. For gardeners looking to build a truly permanent container garden, sea kale is one of those rare vegetables that becomes more rewarding the longer you own it. At number 6, Good King Henry. While spinach has long been considered one of the healthiest leafy greens, it comes with one major frustration. It disappears as soon as summer heat arrives. Good King Henry offers a completely different experience. Often called perennial spinach, this old European cottage garden vegetable has been feeding families for centuries without needing to be replanted every year. Once established, It produces tender leaves every spring and continues growing season after season. Even the young shoots and unopened flower buds are edible, giving you several different harvests from a single plant. It performs exceptionally well across USDA zones 3 through 9, making it one of the most cold-hardy perennial vegetables available to container gardeners. August provides ideal conditions for planting because the warm soil encourages rapid root establishment, while the cooler weather ahead allows the plant to settle into dormancy naturally. Instead of struggling through intense summer temperatures, Good King Henry spends autumn strengthening its underground root system. But next spring, that investment pays off with vigorous new growth weeks before many annual greens have even germinated. Planted in a 10 to 15 gallon container filled with fertile, compost-rich soil that drains well while retaining enough moisture for consistent growth. It performs best in full sun across cooler climates, but appreciates light afternoon shade in warmer regions. Keep the soil evenly moist, refresh the surface with compost every spring, and harvest leaves regularly without stripping the plant bare. Removing only the larger outer leaves encourages continuous new growth while allowing the crown to remain strong and productive for years. Good King Henry perfectly represents the philosophy behind perennial gardening. Instead of starting over every season, you simply care for an established plant that becomes stronger with age. Every spring, while many gardeners are preparing seed trays for spinach, you'll already be harvesting fresh, nutritious greens from a plant that has quietly survived another winter and is ready to feed you once again. At number 5, Lovage. If you've ever wished celery were easier to grow, more flavorful, and capable of coming back year after year, Lovage is the vegetable you've been looking for. This old-fashioned perennial has been a staple in European kitchen gardens for centuries, yet surprisingly few modern gardeners know about it. Every part of the plant is edible. The leaves add a rich celery-like flavor to soups, salads, and roasted vegetables. The hollow stems can be used much like celery, while the seeds make an aromatic seasoning. Once established, Lovage returns every spring larger and more productive than the year before, making it one of the most dependable perennial vegetables you can grow. It thrives throughout USDA zones 3 through 8, where cold winters naturally trigger its annual cycle of dormancy and vigorous spring growth. August is an excellent time to establish Lovage because warm soil allows the roots to expand rapidly before cooler weather arrives. Instead of pushing excessive leafy growth, the young plant directs most of its energy underground, building a deep crown that will support many years of future harvests. When spring returns, those mature roots send up vigorous shoots weeks before annual herbs are ready, giving you an incredibly early source of fresh flavor for the kitchen. Because Lovage eventually becomes a large plant, choose a 15 to 20 gallon container that's at least 18 inches deep. Fill it with rich, compost-amended soil that drains well while holding enough moisture to support steady growth. Position the container in full sun across cooler regions or provide light afternoon shade where summers become extremely hot. Water consistently during dry spells, then top dress with compost every spring to replenish nutrients. Harvest the outer leaves regularly, allowing the center of the plant to continue producing fresh growth throughout the season. Every few years, divide the mature root crown to rejuvenate the plant and create additional containers at no extra cost. Lovage isn't just another herb, it's a permanent investment in your garden. One healthy plant can flavor hundreds of meals over its lifetime while asking for remarkably little in return. That's exactly the kind of dependable productivity every perennial container garden should be built around. At number 4, sorrel. While most leafy greens disappear as soon as hot weather arrives or winter settles in, sorrel quietly ignores both problems. This remarkable perennial has earned a loyal following because it returns every spring without fail, producing bright green leaves long before lettuce, spinach, or kale are ready to harvest. Its fresh lemony flavor instantly brightens soups, salads, sauces, egg dishes, and sandwiches, making it one of the most versatile greens in the garden. Better still, once planted, sorrel continues rewarding gardeners year after year with very little maintenance. It grows successfully throughout USDA zones 3 through 9, making it one of the most adaptable perennial vegetables available for container gardening. August is one of the best months to establish sorrel because the remaining warmth encourages rapid root growth, while the cooler weeks ahead allow the plant to prepare naturally for winter dormancy. Rather than wasting energy producing endless leaves during late summer, sorrel focuses on building a dense underground crown. That hidden crown becomes its greatest strength. By the time spring arrives, the plant already has a mature root system capable of producing vigorous new growth weeks before annual vegetables have even germinated. Sorrel grows beautifully in a 5 to 7 gallon container filled with fertile, compost-rich soil that drains well. In cooler climates, give it full sun for maximum production. In hotter regions, morning sunlight with light afternoon shade keeps the leaves tender throughout summer. Water consistently enough to prevent the soil from drying out completely, and apply a fresh layer of compost every spring to keep the plant productive. Whenever flower stalks appear, remove them promptly so the plant continues investing its energy into producing flavorful leaves instead of seeds. Every 3 or 4 years, divide the mature crown and you'll have several new plants without spending another dollar. One of the greatest advantages of sorrel is how effortlessly it extends the gardening season. While many gardeners are still waiting for their spring vegetables to emerge, you'll already be harvesting fresh handfuls of nutritious greens from a plant that's quietly been preparing all winter. Few perennial vegetables deliver such reliable harvests with so little work, which is why sorrel deserves a permanent place in almost every container garden. At number 3, tree collards. If ordinary collard greens are one of the hardest working vegetables in the garden, tree collards take that reputation to an entirely different level. Unlike traditional collards that are usually grown as annuals or biennials, tree collards develop thick woody stems and continue producing harvest after harvest for years. In mild climates, a single mature plant can provide fresh leaves during nearly every month of the year. Their large blue-green leaves are rich in vitamins, hold up beautifully in soups, stews, stir-fries, and smoothies, and even become sweeter after cool weather arrives. For gardeners looking to maximize food production from a single container, very few perennial vegetables can match their consistency. Tree collards perform best across USDA zones 7 through 10, where winters remain relatively mild and the plants can continue growing year after year. August is one of the smartest times to establish tree collards because the remaining warmth encourages vigorous root growth without exposing young plants to the intense heat of midsummer. During autumn, the plant quietly strengthens its root system while producing moderate new growth. By the following spring, it already has a strong foundation capable of supporting rapid leaf production. Instead of spending weeks recovering from transplant shock, mature plants immediately begin pushing out fresh harvests. Tree collards appreciate a 15 to 20 gallon container filled with fertile, well-draining soil rich in organic matter. Position the container where it receives at least 6 hours of direct sunlight each day, although light afternoon shade is beneficial in extremely hot climates. Water deeply whenever the top inch of soil becomes dry, then refresh the container every spring with compost and a balanced organic fertilizer. Harvest the older outer leaves first while leaving the growing tip untouched. This simple habit allows the plant to continue producing fresh foliage month after month without slowing its overall growth. Perhaps the greatest advantage of tree collards is that they reward patience. Every year, the trunk becomes stronger, the root system becomes larger, and the harvest becomes more abundant. Rather than restarting your leafy green garden every season, you'll simply continue harvesting from a plant that's already been quietly feeding you for years. At number 2, garlic chives. Every perennial container garden needs at least one vegetable that asks for almost nothing yet gives back continuously, and garlic chives fit that description perfectly. While many gardeners grow them as a simple herb, they're actually one of the most productive perennial vegetables you can own. Their flat green leaves combine the freshness of chives with the gentle flavor of garlic, making them perfect for soups, dumplings, stir-fries, noodles, omelets, salads, and countless everyday meals. As an added bonus, the beautiful white flowers bloom in late summer, attracting bees, butterflies, and other valuable pollinators while remaining completely edible themselves. Garlic chives grow reliably across USDA zones 3 through 9, thriving through freezing winters before returning stronger every spring. August is one of the ideal planting times because the warm soil allows roots to establish quickly before winter dormancy begins. Instead of rushing to produce endless leaves, young plants spend autumn building dense underground clumps that become the engine for future harvests. By early spring, those mature roots send up vigorous green shoots long before many annual herbs have even been planted. That's why experienced gardeners often consider garlic chives one of the earliest and most dependable harvests of the entire growing season. A 3 to 5 gallon container is usually enough for one healthy clump, although larger pots allow the plant to spread comfortably over time. Fill the container with loose, fertile soil enriched with compost and place it in full sun or light afternoon shade. Water consistently, but avoid leaving the soil constantly saturated. The secret to endless production is surprisingly simple: harvest often. Frequent cutting encourages fresh new leaves to replace the old ones, keeping the plant productive throughout the growing season. Every 3 or 4 years, divide crowded clumps and replant them into additional containers, giving yourself an unlimited supply of new plants completely free. Few vegetables deliver so much value from such a small space. One container can provide fresh harvests for years, attract beneficial insects, and continuously multiply with almost no maintenance. It's exactly the kind of dependable, low-effort crop that belongs in every long-term container garden, which is why garlic chives earn the number 2 spot on today's countdown. At number 1, Egyptian walking onions. If there is one perennial vegetable that truly embodies the idea of plant once, harvest for years, this is it. Unlike ordinary onions that finish their life cycle after a single season, Egyptian walking onions return every spring and gradually multiply on their own. Instead of producing seeds, mature plants grow clusters of tiny bulbils at the top of each stalk. As those bulbils become heavier, the stalk bends to the ground, where they root and develop into new plants. Over time, the patch slowly expands all by itself, which is exactly how this remarkable vegetable earned its nickname. Exceptionally hardy and dependable, Egyptian walking onions thrive throughout USDA zones 3 through 9, surviving freezing winters and coming back stronger each year. August is an excellent time to establish them because the warm soil encourages rapid root growth before winter dormancy begins. During autumn, the plants quietly build a strong underground root system, allowing them to emerge quickly once temperatures warm in spring. In many gardens, they are among the very first edible crops ready for harvest, providing fresh green onions weeks before annual vegetables are even planted. Grow them in a 7 to 10 gallon container filled with fertile, well-draining soil and place the pot in full sun for the best production. Water regularly during dry periods and refresh the surface with compost every spring to keep the plants vigorous. Every few years, divide crowded clumps to create additional containers completely free. Nearly every part of the plant is edible, from the tender green leaves and underground bulbs to the miniature top bulbils. Few vegetables combine productivity, resilience, and self-propagation quite like Egyptian walking onions. One container can provide years of reliable harvests while quietly multiplying on its own with very little effort. It's the perfect example of how a perennial garden becomes more valuable with time, making Egyptian walking onions our #1 choice for every serious container gardener. That wraps up our countdown of the 7 remarkable perennial vegetables you should establish this August. Which of these self-sustaining crops are you adding to your patio? Let me know in the comments below. But please, do not step out to your garden just yet. Our masterclass is not quite finished. You now possess the exact plant list to build a truly permanent, self-multiplying container garden. But successfully shifting from quick annuals to long-lived perennials requires more than just new plants. It requires a fundamental change in how you think. A perennial is a living, long-term investment. Treating a crop that can live for decades the same way you treat a fleeting summer vegetable will quietly destroy its potential before it even begins. Before you place a single root into the soil, we must secure their future. Let's shift our focus from selecting the right plants to mastering their long-term survival. Here are the 3 silent, critical mistakes that can ruin even the healthiest perennial container garden, and exactly how you can navigate them flawlessly. Let's look at bonus tip number 1. Bonus tip. Number 1. Don't overharvest during the first year. One of the biggest mistakes new gardeners make is getting too excited too soon. After waiting weeks or even months for their perennial vegetables to become established, they begin harvesting every leaf, every shoot, and every stem the moment it appears. It feels rewarding at first, but overharvesting during the plant's first season can dramatically weaken its future performance. Unlike annual vegetables, perennial crops aren't simply trying to survive one growing season. They're building an underground reserve of roots, crowns, and stored energy that will support years of future harvests. Every leaf left on the plant acts like a tiny solar panel, producing the energy needed to strengthen that long-term foundation. During the first year, harvest lightly, or in some cases, not at all. Allow plants like sea kale, sorrel, garlic chives, and tree collards to focus on establishing themselves rather than producing food for your kitchen. The reward comes later. A perennial that's allowed to mature properly often becomes far more productive than one that's constantly harvested while it's still young. Think of the first season as an investment rather than a harvest. A little patience today can mean years of bigger, healthier crops with far less work in the future. Bonus tip number 2. Refresh the soil. Every spring, don't replace it. Many gardeners assume container soil has to be completely replaced every year. With perennial vegetables, that's usually unnecessary, and sometimes even harmful. Healthy perennial roots don't appreciate being disturbed unless absolutely necessary. Instead of dumping out the entire container each spring, simply refresh the soil from the top. Remove the top few inches of old growing mix, then replace it with fresh compost, high-quality potting mix, or well-aged organic matter. Finish with a slow-release organic fertilizer or a generous layer of worm castings to replenish nutrients naturally. This simple practice improves soil structure, restores fertility, and feeds the countless beneficial organisms living around the roots without forcing the plant to rebuild its entire root system. Over time, your container actually develops into a healthier ecosystem rather than a disposable growing medium. It's faster, less expensive, and much easier than replacing all the soil every season. Experienced gardeners understand that they're not just growing vegetables, they're building healthy soil that becomes more productive year after year. Bonus tip number 3. Protect the roots. During winter, many perennial vegetables can survive freezing temperatures surprisingly well, but their roots are far more vulnerable inside containers than they would be in the ground. In a garden bed, surrounding soil naturally insulates the root system. A container, however, is exposed to freezing air from every direction. During severe cold, roots can freeze much harder than they ever would underground, especially in smaller pots. Before winter arrives, add a thick layer of mulch, shredded leaves, or straw over the soil surface to help regulate temperature fluctuations. In colder regions, move containers against a south-facing wall, into an unheated garage, or wrap them with burlap or insulating material during extended freezes. Larger containers also provide better insulation than small ones because they contain much more soil around the roots. These simple precautions don't just help plants survive winter, they allow them to emerge stronger and healthier the following spring. Remember, protecting the roots is protecting next year's harvest. Building a perennial container garden isn't about getting the biggest harvest tomorrow. It's about creating a garden that becomes stronger, easier, and more productive every single year. Every perennial vegetable you plant today is one less seed you'll have to buy, one less container you'll have to start from scratch, and one more reliable harvest waiting for you next season. If you enjoyed today's countdown, let us know in the comments which perennial vegetable you're most excited to grow. And if you already have a favorite that's been producing for years, we'd love to hear your experience. Don't forget to subscribe to Lazy Gardener for more practical container gardening guides, seasonal planting tips, and simple ways to grow more food in less space. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.